let's do 3, 2, 1, go. All
Okay.
right.
You gonna
Ready?
say it?
Oh, I think we should say it together.
Okay, here we go.
Okay. Ready? Three,
Three,
two,
two, one,
one, go.
go.
Hi, it's Reba,
And I'm Katie, and this is What About Bobs?
a podcast about friendship first,
Then movies.
and if we're lucky, a bob on top. Hi, Katie. How's it going?
Hi, Reba. Going good. We're fully in fall over here. It's
Fully in
so
fall.
cute. Getting real cute. Great movie weather.
Great movie weather. I'm very excited for our upcoming series. Well, at least uh, getting to the fall season, spooky season movies. But yeah, it's been weirdly warm in New York.
Mm.
It was really like sunny and warm, which like I kind of like. I'm kind of like don't want it to get. It's like actually been pretty perfect. Like warm during the day, but like you need a jacket at night
Oh,
or in the morning.
like a real fall, I feel.
Yeah, it's really lovely. So,
Cute.
so far I've been liking it.
We got crazy, like a switch flipped of weather where it just like rained for 24 hours. I think they said it rained more between Friday and Saturday this last weekend than between March and September of this year. So
Oh my
it
goodness.
was crazy. It rained a ton, and then it's been very chilly since then. We got some snow in the mountains, and it's happening.
It's happening. Fall.
I'm
That's
ready.
exciting.
Bring it.
I love it. I can't wait.
So Ryan is out of town. My boyfriend's out of town, and he is on this work trip for a week. And he actually suggested, I think this was on Sunday. He was like, "Is it cheating on Reba if we watch a movie together?" He wanted to do the 3, 2, 1, go. And
Cute.
he counted us down, and we watched, which I would watch again if you, for sure you haven't seen this. I would hope not, but I would watch again. We watched Madam Web.
Oh,
Did you
have
see
not.
it?
No.
It is so funny. It's
Really?
so dumb. I feel like I wouldn't even put it in like it's so bad it's good. It's like it's not good. But it's so funny, and I feel like Dakota Johnson is giving, and if anyone else was in that role it would have been such a weird
Mm,
movie, but she's so weird that
it
it
works.
like jogged it back on track, I feel like, and it was so bizarre and strange, and we were like laughing out loud through so much of it.
Oh my gosh.
And
That's so
Sydney Sweeney's
cute.
in it, which I had forgotten.
Wait,
um
who's in it?
Sydney Sweeney.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's like
Mm-hmm.
Dakota Johnson, and then there's like three teenage girls that she's like helping, and two of them are played by teenage girls, and one of them is played by Sydney Sweeney, who I think is like 30 probably. And then the two teenage girls are like dressed regular. It takes place in the early 2000s for some reason. I don't know why.
Okay.
Um, and they look regular. And then Sydney Sweeney is in like a schoolgirl, like she's wearing a wig, like a weird wig. She looks like fully in costume, and no one else in the movie looks like they're in costume. Like she's wearing this like blondish orange, like not unlike my hair color, but like thicker and like
Mm-hmm.
here, and then like big glasses and like not a ton of makeup, and then like a white colored shirt and a cardigan, and then like a little pleated skirt and thigh high or like knee highs and like little Mary Janes. It's so weird.
That's
It's
so
so
bizarre.
bizarre, but I loved it. I
Lo-
absolutely loved it.
Loved it.
Madam Web.
Well, a two thumbs up from
Two
Katie. And
thumbs up.
what did Ryan, one,
He
what did
also,
Ryan think of the experience, the 3, 2, 1, go, the distance movie watching? And two, what did he think of Madam Web?
he loved the experience. He did the 3, 2, 1, go. He also marveled at, which I'm pretty proud of, my ability to sync us up when we got
Mm-hmm.
unsynced. I was like, well, I've got a couple years practice
Yeah.
under my belt. He was like, how'd you do that? We're in exactly the same place. I was like, well, I know what I'm doing. And he also loved Madam Web. He thought it was outrageous and so silly. There's like a part at the end, I won't spoil it, but there's like a reveal at the very, very end that I felt like came out of nowhere and made me laugh so hard. And then it's like the movie just ends and
Oh my gosh.
it was great. Have you seen
Okay.
any good movies lately?
Let's see. So, recent I don't know what the word is. Recent update in our household is like legitimately becoming Yankees fans,
Yeah.
which is really funny. I mentioned it to you before we watched the movie a few days ago, but I don't think you realize how serious we gotten. So when we moved to New York, okay, so here's the bit. Not sporty, not sporty. Never followed sports, none of that type of thing. And then Jaden, my husband, like athlete, football, rugby, like really like intense team sports, really athletic, and then follows college football. He has his sports. I have no sports at all, so I'm always like, what does that mean? All of this stuff. Really fun to watch with because I know nothing, so
Right.
it's always a joy. All of that being said, neither of us have ever been into baseball. Didn't get it. Why does everyone like baseball? Neither of us. Come to New York, and then for some reason, I'm like, okay, the Yankees merch is cute, though. So, like, I think I'm a Yankees fan, which I understand that, like, I feel like the Yankees, like, hats
You
are,
got to
like,
do it for the merch.
yeah, are, like, the most, like, popular purchased, like, probably, like, baseball merch hat ever. So I understand the basicness of it. And yet, there's something about it that just spoke to me. And so as a bit, I kind of was like, well, because the Yankees.
Huge Yankees girl.
And like as a bit, made a like fantasy football league last year that I forgot about, and I named my fantasy NBA basketball. I named my fantasy basketball team the Yankees. And like I'm like played into this bit so much like that I love the Yankees. We've realized the season was ending. We're like the regular season. We're like we have to go to a game together. So we like finally go. We get there very late because we had dinner plans earlier. Anyway,
Sure.
we get there like right at the end, have a blast. And then I don't know what it is. We're like become very serious Yankee fans. I downloaded apps so that I can follow their games, and that is all we watch now is like Yankees baseball. Anyway, I feel like
love
I
this.
talked way too long. I know
No.
nothing, but I'm learning. All of this is to say I'm learning all about baseball with alongside Jaden. We're both like neither of us know anything, which I think is why it makes it fun that we're like, what does this mean? And so we just have been watching like baseball at home,
I love this.
which is really weird. And then we watched Moneyball.
And now you get it on a whole different level.
Yes, I think it helped me understand it more, but have you seen that movie?
I saw it in theaters, so however long ago it came out, and it just like, no.
Sure. I thought it was fine. It was whatever. Both he and I were like, the interesting part of the movie is that like the statistics that they ended up like changing to use like to build the team, like I guess changed literally everything about baseball and how other sports like pick players. And that is very interesting, like the math of it all, but it doesn't make for like a really great visual like story. And so the movie ends up being a little bit more focused on like the person of the story, but it's like he's less interesting than the fact that this like changed everything.
Yeah.
So I don't know if the movie was like as interesting as like the story it's based on, which can be
Interesting, because it is
Anyway.
based on a true story.
yes.
I feel like that weirdly perfectly segues into this movie.
Yeah.
Perhaps our thoughts about this week's movie, which is not based on a true story. But man, would that be cool if it
Would
were?
and would that be cool if it were? Because wow, wow, wow.
What a
Um,
story.
are you saying this is a good segue because we don't know enough about
No, I think, well, okay. I'll explain why.
astrophysics?
So
Astrophysics?
this, if you're following along closely, you will know that this week's movie is Contact, starring Jodie Foster and Matthew McConaughey. I feel like it's similar in that like the math was very interesting. The technological part of it was very interesting. And I felt like, and we'll obviously get into this more, but I felt like the human side of things was like a little lacking, surprisingly to me. And it felt like the people were just like a vessel, like a means to carry a message across. And it didn't feel like it was how we were talking about Clute last week. We were like, it's such a character study. It's so crazy. I feel like this was like the opposite. Like this was not a character study to me at
This
all.
no, this movie was the plottiest of plots. Like
Yes.
it was so plot heavy. I think that's actually a really good take that the characters were vessels to like for this giant vision of this like yeah,
Yeah.
the story.
Yeah. I liked this movie. I kind of feel like I got sold like a bill of goods on this one though. I feel like it was so different than it seems like everybody it seems like a lot of people this movie means a lot to a lot of people
Hmm.
and people are like it's so special. What a beautiful movie. And I was kind of expecting a more like science fiction like
Hmm.
The Abyss or like Jurassic Park, but like highbrow Jurassic Park kind of,
Hmm.
where it's like
Hmm.
like adventure, but about like the science of it all.
Hmm.
And I feel like what we got was like, I mean, about faith, right? It's like this movie is
Yeah.
about faith and like science versus faith. But I feel like it was a movie about science versus faith that Faith wrote and said was like
Hmm.
both have an argument, but I it felt like one of them wrote the movie.
Yeah. It was almost pandering, maybe not the right word, but it was as if the science community was trying to be incredibly welcoming in a way to a like Christian religious community in a way that's like, look, we can be friends. Like we don't have to be on other sides. I think though then what ended up happening is it ends up feeling a little like I think at one point during the movie you said, I'm waiting for the like screen to pop up to be like brought to you
Yeah.
by like some like Christian film organization, which I think neither of us were expecting. I felt like we watched four different movies.
Yes. Oh
Like
my God.
it felt I like I don't know. I don't know. We're already like getting into it so much, but it felt like it changed the type of movie it was like three different times or something like that.
Yeah.
That's kind of like the experience of watching it was. And I feel like we were getting to the towards the end and neither of us knew how long the movie was. And so we were just like, I don't know when this is going to end. I don't know what's going to happen. I have no idea where this is going, which made for an interesting like watching viewing
It did.
experience.
It did. And I feel like I went into it relatively blind. Like I've been
Same.
seeing, what year did this come out actually?
97, I think. Am I
97. So
right?
I've been seeing this movie poster like most of my life.
Sure.
I know the visuals, and I know that it's like Jodie Foster and there's like what I knew was like it's Jodie Foster and like a dead mom is what I thought. And like trying to she's a scientist and it's like trying to find life, like is there life out there? And maybe that bleeds over a little bit into like her dead parent. Which I feel like is kind of what it is. However, it was a lot bigger scale than that. Should we get into the
Let's set
where
it
it
up. Let's
starts?
tee up like the little information about it, and then we can just dive in.
Okay.
But
I don't have a ton of information. This movie was produced and directed by Robert Zemeckis. It was based on a book written by Carl Sagan called Contact. I don't know what year that book came out, but Carl Sagan was also very involved in the making of this movie, but passed away during filming of this movie, it sounds like. But you said that you watched something that said that he was like very involved with the cast and they did like a workshop with him or something.
yeah, before I saw one part of a video where it was almost like the cast talking about it, like one of those like special whatever behind the scenes type videos. Yeah, they said that he held a seminar and talked to them, almost like giving them like his like a personal cosmos like seminar. And then following the seminar, he held a Q&A session, and like Jodie Foster was like, you could tell he was like not well, like he was pretty sick I think at the time, but like he was so like interested in their questions. He was very dialed in. And it was like him kind of like philosophy, science, religion, all of it all at once. And so I think that was like really impactful on the crew. But
Which is, yeah, I feel like that's what this movie is like philosophy, science, religion, all of those things at once. I feel like the start of this movie was a little bit of a jump scare. We
yeah.
teed it up. We did 3, 2, 1, go. And I counted it. I rewatched the opening today and counted it, and it's 10 seconds of just black screen and silence. So I don't know about you, but I had turned my TV up, the volume
Yep.
so loud.
Same. Same. Because I wasn't sure
I was like, what's
if I was getting
happening?
any sound. Yeah.
And then we are blasted with a like wall of sound of like people talking and like traffic noise and music and bits from movies, just like all layered on top of each other as we see this view from space of the Earth. And we're like slowly pulling back, and it's just like so overwhelming, just like this complete tangle, this jumble of sound. And as we pull back, I think you start to hear some music on top of others, and it's like more current for 1997
Yeah. Yeah.
music.
Like radio broadcasts
Yeah.
almost.
And then as we pull back, we're hearing more pinpointed either sound bites from movies or speeches or whatever, or music, and it's getting older and older as we pull back. And we're getting past Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars. I'm trying to remember the order of the planets. But then we pass like Jupiter and Neptune, and as we're passing these planets, it's like older and older stuff, which I imagine is to signify that like the time it takes for like radio waves to reach out into space. And so like our oldest broadcasts are like only that far. And I don't remember. I read something about the time it takes. I think it's like 50 years or something for something to reach Neptune, but that also could be completely made up. But just as a idea of what we mean. But we
Wait.
also hear a speech of, I think at the very end, the last thing we hear before it cuts out is a Hitler speech, right? At the Olympics. I think that's like the furthest out one. And then I think the intro of this movie is like 5 minutes of just zooming out. And it's that for, I don't know, probably 15 or 20 or 30 seconds. And then it's just quiet. And we're just zooming out like past galaxies and
Yep.
nebula. And like things are just getting smaller
And
and
like
smaller and
the
smaller.
galaxies get smaller and smaller away. And I was watching this and I was like, I love this. This is amazing. This feels like so exciting, and this is like feels like a type of movie I want to be like watching. And it also reminded me of did you ever watch the Powers of 10 video?
I don't
Have
think
you ever
so.
seen it?
Uh-uh.
So, The Powers of 10, it was made by like the Eames office, like of Charles and Ray Eames
Hmm.
fame. They made like in the 70s this movie called Powers of 10. It's like a 9-minute movie. Basically, they tried to make a movie or a video to explain like the relativity between the size of like things here on Earth and the universe at large. And they start on a picnic, like an overhead view of like a picnic in Chicago. And then they zoom out, and every like 10 seconds, they zoom out another, they add a zero
Hmm.
to like 10 meters, 100 meters, 1,000 meters, and they zoom out at that rate until they get like, I don't know, like a certain, I tried to write down how far out they get, but essentially they like zoom it out until they get yeah, it looks like 100 million light years out of space. So like at this point, like galaxy, it's like similar, just like
Hmm.
to the exact same kind of how they zoom out in the beginning of this movie, and then they zoom back in until they get like inside of a cell, like inside of an atom, inside
Oh
of a
my
cell
God.
in the skin. So it's like trying to give you like this idea of like, okay, we are so tiny
Hmm.
compared to like the vastness of the universe, and also like within us is even like the range of like, you know, between us and the universe is so vast, like more than you
Hmm.
can even imagine. And then I saw in the Wikipedia about this movie that the beginning of the movie was allegedly inspired by The Power of 10.
Oh,
So
okay.
if that is true, and I did not fact check that, then
You don't
that
have to fact check
makes sense
Wikipedia.
why it reminded me of it.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but I did love that, like the zooming out. I was just like, this is so cool for starting a movie that's like starts on Earth, like everything happens on Earth, kind of, you know,
Hmm.
but it's like trying to get us to understand this vastness. So that
And
was a
also
cool
to
opening.
start a movie like that with so much silence, I thought was really cool too. Like just to be sitting watching it, like, and especially like you start with that like wall of sound, which is like getting everybody's attention. Like I
Yeah,
can't imagine watching this in a theater, how jarring that would have been.
no, yeah.
And then you're just like sitting watching in like silence as it's like, okay, like here's where we're from. Like, isn't this crazy? And then to your point of like the vastness and then like the tininess, I think we're zooming out until we zoom out of little Jenna Malone's eyeball, right?
And yeah, exactly. Which rewatching it today with context more, like I did a lot more research on Carl Sagan, and like he has a quote that's saying, "We are made of star stuff.
Hmm.
We are a way for the universe to know itself." But I was like, wait, is that the a visual metaphor? Like the fact that we zoom out throughout the universe
Hmm.
just to zoom out through this little girl's
Yeah, and
like,
I think it does that a couple
woo.
times throughout the movie, right? Like
Yeah.
it brings us
It
back.
like brings us back through the
Hmm.
humans. So I do feel like there's like some really cool like big ideas that are
Hmm.
being like presented. And so I really think the opening to this movie really like was exciting
Hmm.
and cool, and like I feel like really held the spirit of what the little bit I know about like Carl Sagan's
Hmm.
intention with all of his like work.
Hmm.
But then I don't think it totally feels that way throughout the whole movie, but I definitely feel like the beginning did.
I don't think it feels that way throughout the whole movie. Yeah, we have little young Jodie Foster is played by Jenna Malone, which was a I feel we were saying like this is a pretty good casting
Yeah.
choice. Like you could see
Hmm.
it. Like I could see Jenna Malone growing up to look like Jodie Foster. Her dad is played by I feel like he's somebody that you recognize as in stuff, but I don't know who he
But I
is.
couldn't place him, but he had a
Um,
familiar look.
yeah, so it's just them. Her mom has died. Sometime before, and
Yeah.
we meet her when she's on like a little baby like ham radio,
Hmm.
trying to like make contact with anyone with a radio. And the code she uses is CQ. This is WGFO here, come back. And I had to look this up. CQ is the code you use when you are trying to make contact with someone. And I don't know if that's on
Oh,
purpose. I don't know if that's like supposed to be like a little like wordplay.
yeah.
It feels like a
I
weird
don't know.
coincidence, but and then come back means like repeat whatever you last said. I can't hear you. So she's saying like WGFO here, come back, and it's just repeating that over and over. And then eventually somebody pops in and is like, "Hey, I can hear you." And she's like, "Oh my gosh, where are you?" And where did they say?
Pensacola.
Pensacola, that's right.
Pensacola.
And then
And
she's like, "How's the
she's like,
weather down there in Florida?" She's all excited
she's
and
very
marks it on her
precocious.
map of like how far she's been able to reach, and that's the farthest yet. She's so excited.
And she has a drawing that she does of Pensacola because she's so excited that she made contact with somebody that far away. And then they have a little scene where she's like, "Do you think we could contact like this planet or this planet?" And her dad's kind of like, "Yeah, maybe," like, she's getting further and further out. And then she says, "Do you think we could call mom, like get in contact with mom?" And he's like, I don't think there's a radio that can reach that far.
Oh, it's
Ah,
so cute. They do love each other a lot. Do we get what happened to her dad here? Or is it in another flashback? I feel like maybe we cut to present day here.
I can't remember. I thought we kind of I feel like it just went straight to like, and
Okay.
then her dad died, and then we flash
So, and then
forward.
her dad dies.
So then her dad died. But
She
they do it in a very dramatic reveal.
Yeah, it's great. Do you want to talk about this shot, which was like
Yeah. I can talk about this
a
shot.
shot?
And I got an even more, I watched a video of the cinematographer talking about the shot, and it used both film, like as they were filming the cinematographers, and then they used some editing effects as well. The one fun fact that I didn't notice when we were watching it, but he pointed out, the shot begins her realizing like that something's happening. She's like calling out for her dad. He's not answering, so she looks over the like banister, or she looks out into the room or something, and there's like a bowl of popcorn that's been spilled.
And you just see the popcorn, right?
You
On the
just see the
floor.
popcorn. We don't like see her dad, but it implies that he's fallen or something. And I guess the cinematographer said that the vision of the director was that the popcorn is like laid out in a constellation, I guess. Which I want to look at it again, but he was like, yeah, so that's a constellation,
Oh my
which is kind of
God.
interesting. And so then the next part of the scene is her running up the stairs and down the hall to the bathroom to get medicine out of the cabinet. But she's running, the camera's following her like as if she's running at the camera. She's running, running, running. They get into like a slow motion mode, and then the shot is as if the camera has now somehow in the reflection, yeah, like filming her in the reflection of the medicine cabinet instead of like her running at the camera. And they had to like flip the film, like how she's running, like the side the stair is on is actually on the other side. And then what they did is they filmed the cabinet as the foreground with a blue screen where the mirror would be. And she's in like the insert or something.
Yeah.
But anyways, opens the cabinet now. And it's a very cool, like, oh, cool effect. And there's tons of like medicine
Yeah,
bottles,
there's
and then
lots
she
of
grabs
bottles.
one. And then she shuts it again. And the view that the mirror picks up is like a framed picture of her and her dad.
That shot is incredible. I feel like very worth looking up on YouTube. It's like the trick, like what it appears to be as is if you are like in the mirror and
Yep.
like coming out of it backwards
Yep.
and like she is in there with you because then you like come out of the mirror and a hand comes and like opens the mirror. It's very what's the
And
word?
that scene is like the only like thing I'd seen of Contact until we watched the movie, because I think people will like posts like clips of it being like, this was such a cool like editing trick. And then I think then we cut to funeral scene.
Dad did not make it, and she is blaming herself.
Yeah, the funeral, like a priest or someone there says something like, it's like, tries to console her with like, it's all in God's plan. It's all, and she says something like, no, I just needed to get to the medicine.
Oh yeah, I think she says I should have had some medicine in the downstairs bathroom.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
so
She's
logical.
a very practical, analytical. No, it's literally because of this. Yeah.
And another important thing from her dad is when they're having that conversation about can we reach mom, I think she says, like, do you think anything else is out there besides us? And he says, which I guess is a Carl Sagan quote, which is like, I hope so. If it is just us, seems like an awful waste of space.
Yes.
Which is so great and gets repeated a couple times
It gets
throughout.
repeated. Yeah, it's a good refrain. It does seem like an awful waste of space
Yeah.
if it's all just made for us. Like
Yeah.
if it's all just it's
Especially
just us out
on the
here.
heels of that like huge zoom out, like you just saw, that's just
Yeah.
a portion of it. Like, and we could never get to the edge of it. Yeah. What a waste
Yeah.
of space.
Awful waste of space. Yeah.
And then we cut to, this was a very exciting moment for me. We cut to what is actually called the Arecibo Observatory. And I went, I know where that observatory is. I just watched a Pierce Brosnan 007 movie like 3 days prior. I forget which one it was. The World Is Not Enough, maybe. That had this very same observatory in the climax scene. Very exciting. It's a huge satellite dish. It's like essentially, it looks like a lake, but like the bottom of it is
like a crater
satellite.
like-
Yeah, it's a crater with a satellite dish in it, and then like all this equipment hanging up
Yeah.
on top of it in the middle of the jungle. It's very cool.
Yeah.
And I think it's in South America, maybe
It's in Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico. Okay. Really pretty. And then we have grown up Jodie Foster, who did we even say the names of our characters? Jodie Foster is Ellie Arroway. We will meet Matthew McConaughey here shortly. He is Palmer Joss. And then we have Ellie's kind of professional nemesis, David Drumlin, who's played by Tom Skerritt, Kent, who's played by William Fichtner, and another government, who was this? Just like a congresswoman, maybe? Rachel Constantine, in a real exciting appearance by Angela Bassett. I was thrilled. Oh my God.
You were Angela
There was
Bassett.
a couple of crazy, they weren't cameos, but like, what is that person? Remember Rob Lowe popped out of nowhere?
Yes.
And we're like, is that Rob?
Yeah. They just like cast the entire like like American government with just like wild people.
And a lot of like famous people playing themselves, like Jay Leno doing like a bit for it. We have former US President Bill Clinton.
Bill Clinton. They like repurposed footage of him from
Yeah, that was crazy. I don't know if you found this too about they have Bill Clinton like giving a speech on Jodie Foster's like project and what she's working on with like trying to reach intelligent life, and it's kind of the like really similar to Forrest Gump when they use the JFK footage, right? Isn't it JFK? And I wrote down a quote. Zemeckis saw a NASA announcement in August 1996. So presumably while they were making this movie, Clinton gave his Mars Rock speech. Zemeckis explained, and I swear to God, it was like scripted for this movie. When he said the line, "We will continue to listen closely to what it has to say," I almost died. I stood there with my mouth hanging open. And then the White House let them use this footage. And then I guess before the movie came out, tried to like be like, never mind, like we don't want you to use that anymore, and they just like did it anyway, which is crazy.
I think my comment when we see the Bill Clinton, and there's a few other things where I was like, this is really weird watching in the age of AI where people do and create fakes and like videos using the likeness of like famous people to make them say things and do things, and it's really odd watching it knowing that we have the ability to like do that and then be like, no, this came out in the 90s. So this was real footage, and it like happens to be so perfect, like what
A
you said.
lot of this, a lot of the parts in this movie felt weirdly timely about like this is this is
Yeah,
how things are now. This is
there's
like very pointed.
yes, there's so much weirdness parallels with like
A lot of weird parallels.
now. Yeah.
There was a quote by Matthew McConaughey. So we do meet Matthew McConaughey, who's a hot priest.
Hot priest.
Hot priest. He is uh, in Puerto Rico doing research for a book, he said. And I think he's wanting to talk to Drumlin, Jodie
Yeah.
Foster's kind of boss. I think he's just like higher up, but she doesn't
He
really report to
yeah,
him.
he I had to figure out exactly what he was. He's the science advisor to the president.
Oh, okay.
So he's like in charge because I think originally she's working more for, so she works in the SETI program, the Search for Extraterrestrial
Intelligent.
Intelligence. And I think that is like Carl Sagan worked for that too, but it's kind of like I think she's not taken very seriously. The program's kind of like, well, this is just like whatever. And
Yeah.
when I was reading that was like similar to Carl Sagan's experience that it was kind of like this is a fantasy
Yeah,
project.
this is
Why
where
are
the
you taking it
weirdos
so
work. Yeah.
seriously? And so I think that's why there's friction with the government guy because he's kind of like he's in charge of keeping that program funded.
So Matthew McConaughey, Palmer Joss, the hot priest, they meet somewhere. I feel like he's eating a box of Cracker Jack or something
He's
hot.
eating a
He looks phenomenal. Matthew McConaughey looks so good in this movie.
He does, yeah.
I feel like it's been a while. I feel like Matthew McConaughey has become kind of like a caricature of himself. So it's like been a while since I like found him hot. But in this movie, he is so pretty.
Yes.
I think he's like 25, which is crazy. He looks airbrushed. His hair looks like it's made of clay. He looks perfect all the time. They start flirting immediately, which I also thought was funny that like, I don't know.
And we need to talk about Jodie Foster's aura. She's so science, like woman in STEM,
Yes.
like she shows up and like I think it's clear that like everybody else when she shows up to the observatory, everyone else is men and she kind of like owns the room kind of pretty immediately. She does like is to me was very believable, like cares about science so much and like cares about finding truth and all the things like everything she says I'm like I believe her.
Yeah.
I believe her.
She's always got a low pony or like a low braid down the
Yeah.
back. Lots of scrunchies coming in hot.
Cute glasses.
Oh my God,
Yeah.
she's so cute. We do have one shot where it cuts to her. I think we were both taken aback. We were aghast. It cuts to her like in the field of satellite dishes, and she is wearing a sheer long sleeve orange button up on top of her head with her sun hat on
With her
top
sun
of
hat
it.
on. Yeah. She has this like yeah.
God.
Like a nerdy chic about
Yeah,
her.
it's like the cool, like nerdy, completely unself-conscious nerd.
Yes.
Like, which was fun to watch. And goes toe to toe with Matthew McConaughey. I feel like she holds her own in the beginning with him. Like, he's also like really cocky and confident. And she's like, okay, like, yeah,
Cool.
do you want to get dinner? Like, is not intimidated by him and his beauty.
No. No, she's not awkward at all. She's so like, yeah, commanding. And yeah, he's eating a box of Cracker Jacks and he pulls out a toy or the prize in the bottom and it's a compass. And he tries to give
Little
it to her.
plastic compass.
Yeah. But then she says you might need this, right? Or something like that or
I think so.
she essentially I think tries to give it back to him.
Yes. Yes. She gives it back to him. I think he reveals that he's trying to get an interview with Drumlin.
Drumlin.
And she's like, well, I have on good authority that he's coming in tomorrow. Like, if you want to try, because she hates Drumlin. She's like, if you want to ambush him, he's coming in tomorrow.
Yeah.
And then in the meantime, she learns and my timing might be off on this, a lot happens in this movie. Do they go home together or no?
So
Or does
I
Drumlin
thought
come
they
first?
have so I think what happens is he shows up, there's like an event with Drumlin the next day or something,
Yeah.
and he kind of ambushes him and like says his piece, but like it doesn't really like pan out into anything, I
Hmm.
think. Like he kind of gets like brushed off.
Yeah. And
And
then
then they end up sleeping together.
they sleep together. Uh, Matthew McConaughey's obsessed with her, but she's like, I have to go.
He leaves. Yeah. He asks her a little bit about her background and she says like she finds out like about her dad and
Hmm.
everything. And then he's like, it must have been hard being so alone. And I feel like that like kind of gets her to like my read because I don't think they delve too much into her psyche or like her like motivations that much.
Hmm.
For such a heavy dramatic like trauma early on in her life, they don't touch it too much to like they don't get too personal with her, which is again, it's so a plot forward
I
movie. So it's like
agree.
but I my read was that she was kind of like enjoys like being like knows she is a little bit of like as alone, is really independent, and like for someone to try to get closer with her, I think she kind of is like, nope, I have my like wall up around that.
Yeah.
Because then that's when she starts to be like, I'm running late, I have to go. And then he's like, oh, sorry, like, what's wrong? Like, are you gonna call me? Like, kind of vibe. And she's so cavalier and is like, oh, yeah, no, I gotta go. Like, you can stay in the apartment however long you want. There's like food, whatever. Just leave your number. I'll call you later. And then she leaves. But then Drumlin comes in and says, like, we're defunding the program
Yeah.
here.
I
And
feel
so then
like
she
I
leaves.
feel
Yeah.
like this part to me felt like the first not tonal shift, but like where something felt a little out of place was her interaction with Drumlin here. Where he's like, we're defunding this, blah blah blah, and she's like, you can't, like, we need, and he's like, this is like, a fool's errand, like there's nothing out there, this is so silly, like you're looking for little green men, blah blah blah, and like you're so smart, you should get a job somewhere else. And she like turns around and like a child to their dad, I feel like was like, it's my life, like in a way that was like really
Mm-hmm.
unprofessional, to
Mm-hmm.
where I was like, what is their relationship?
Yeah.
And then I feel like that was not ever. I thought for sure they were going to be like, there was some connection between them that was like a little more personal. That is why she was talking
Mm-hmm.
to him like that, but there
Huh.
wasn't. And so
Totally.
then I'm like, well, is it because she's like she does have this like inner child thing that's like a little more like I was trying to like read meaning into it, but I feel like
Mm-hmm.
that was the first part that I was like, this feels like, I feel like on first taste, like it tastes not well written to me, but I want to give this movie the benefit of the doubt,
Yeah.
And so I'm like, what am
Yeah.
I missing? And I feel like there was a couple moments throughout that like seemed to get bigger and bigger to me as the movie went on, where I was
Yeah.
like, I want to give it the benefit of, like, what am I missing here? I want to give
Yeah.
this the benefit of the doubt, but this was like the first one of those where she's like, it's my life. I want to follow my dream. It's like, okay.
I know I saw both Matthew McConaughey and Jodie Foster talked about when they talk about the movie for like promotional stuff, they were kind of like, it's a movie about making contact with space, but it's also about like, I think Jodie Foster says it's like also about people with like big passions. And so I wonder if it's like almost like a non nuanced, like, this isn't just a job for her, like, it's her life. Because I feel like that's how she approaches, like, that character approaches everything is
Hmm.
like, not how do I fit into this like greater thing. She's like very much like, no, this is everything to me.
Hmm.
And then also then you have Palmer Joss, who's like his whole thing is his life too, like his
Yeah.
whole faith in God and his like theologian like type
Yeah, I feel like
dude
he's like, I'm like a theology PhD or something. It's like,
guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
He like went to divinity school, but he's like not technically like he's like a I don't it was weird. He's like almost like a Christian philosopher or like
Yeah.
an advisor.
Maybe
He's
he's
not
not a
like
hot
a
priest. He's a
yeah, we
hot
just call him hot.
PhD
He,
student.
but anyway, she's very, very passionate.
Yes,
And it can come across as like odd where you're like, wait, what does that mean for your relationship with this guy? Yeah. Anyway.
totally. Yeah. I feel like then we get this
Then
movie really picks up, right?
yeah, so this is what I mean when I feel like we watched like so many different types of movies because I was more thrown off that Matthew McConaughey is like gone for a bit.
Uh-huh. He leaves his number tacked
So
to her
Matthew
board with the
McConaughey leaves
compass.
his number and the compass. Either way, he gets the compass back to her
He keeps the
later.
compass, but I think leaves the number.
He leaves the
And it's
number
like,
and she picks up the number. There's like a moment where so she finds out that there are things getting unfunded and she and Kent, the other scientist that's there who's blind, they are like, we can do this together kind of thing. Like
mhm,
we just need to get funding and we can go move to a different
mhm.
observatory. Um, but I was like before that happened and Matthew McConaughey is introduced, I was kind of like, oh, we're getting into like an X-Files situation
That's
where
what I
I
thought
thought it was
too.
going to be like her kind of being the like believer in the like there are aliens, there is life beyond Earth, and then he was going to be like the kind of like more faith expert that was like that's what I thought was going to happen
Yeah.
was like this like duo kind of attacking things. Again, I had no context for this movie whatsoever. So every bit I was like, okay, and
Okay.
then it's and then it would just like pivot. I feel like we're jumping all over. I have no
There's too
idea how
much.
this
There's too much in this
this
movie.
podcast is gonna go off. This episode's gonna read to people, but understand we are doing our
I'm
best.
trying my best.
We are spoiling everything. And we may be spoiling it out of order. We don't know. We don't know. It was a very long movie, lots of plot.
And I feel like pissing everyone off along the way.
Oh,
Maybe
I'm
this will be
sure
like our rage bait. Like this is when we
this
blow
one's
up.
gonna, yeah,
We go get famous for all the wrong reasons.
yeah.
For our
These
scathing
idiot
take on
girls talking
contact.
about contact. They don't even know. Yeah. But I think so. Then we basically drop Matthew McConaughey, but
Yeah.
don't worry, he comes back later. But she's just got to get some stuff done in the meantime. So now, because again, this is her life, this is everything. If the government's not going to fund it, then she goes to pitch the project, right, to that, what's our guy?
Oh, I
This
have a
movie's
fun
so
fact
crazy.
on this guy.
Haddon.
Haddon.
I feel like
So this guy is
she
like,
goes pitch
yeah,
it to hit Haddon Industries, right?
yeah. And he is supposed to be like a Bill Gates type for the
Hmm.
time. Like he's this like if Bill Gates went crazy. He is eccentric billionaire, like tech genius.
Secretive.
Very
Yeah.
yeah, very elusive and secretive. His last name is Haddon. His first initials are SR, and apparently SR Haddon, ESARHADDON, is a historical figure, like spelled out, not the initials, SR Haddon. Most famous for his conquest of Egypt in 671 BC, which made his empire the largest the world had ever seen. Also famous for his reconstruction of Babylon, which had been destroyed by his father. S.R. Haddon was also known as the King of Egypt, King of the Four Corners of the World, and King of the Universe in his time. Crazy, huh?
Wow.
Little Easter eggs.
That's fun. I did not know that.
I mean, I knew.
You're like, I know who that is. Haddon. That's our Haddon. Yeah.
But just, yeah.
She gives the presentation to like his subordinates, but they're kind of like blowing her off. And then the main guy leading the interview gets a call. And then he goes, was that? Okay. Okay. All right. We're funding it or something. Like you
Uh-huh.
got approval. And she looks over and there's like a camera that she can now see
Mm-hmm.
the billionaire Haddon has been watching this whole thing and decided that he's interested.
Uh-huh. And he seems kind of like omniscient, right? Like he just knows everything about
Okay,
her.
so yeah, this is where I'm like, what? This is like another pivot where I'm like, what kind of, okay, so, okay, which I don't know. I don't know what movies I've been seeing, but I'm like, who's this guy? This guy's can't be good news. But
Yeah.
he seems like,
I
yeah, like,
also was waiting for him to be bad the whole time. You could maybe read into him being like more of like a benevolent like he is the hand of whatever grand design like steering her because he does kind of like facilitate her
he
movement through
facilitates,
this.
yeah.
He also lives in space.
He also like spends his last dying days on a
Which
station. Yeah.
apparently in the book, like there are many rich people who live like in orbit of Earth to
Mm,
like try and prolong their lives. Like it's not just him, but in the movie it is, I think, just him that is living in
interesting.
orbit to prolong
Mm,
his life. But yeah, I was also expecting him to be like nefarious, and he wasn't.
no, he's just kind of
Just on his side.
loves science as much as her
He also loves science.
and has also wants to find the truth of the universe and just happens to have the money to do whatever it takes.
Yeah. So he starts funding them privately.
Yep. And then she moves to the Carl G. Jansky Very Large Array in New
A
Mexico,
very large array.
which is like, yeah, just like a fleet of radio telescopes, like this like
Hmm.
astronomy observatory. So it's like similar to where they were before, but this place is in New Mexico. And I think, yeah, like they're all functioning like actual observatories that like
Hmm.
astronomers use. So it was cool. Like that, I thought that was cool just to see like that kind of
Hmm.
technology. But I had to look that up because they kept during those scenes they kept being like, "How many
The
Janskys?" And
Janskys! What are the Janskys at?
the Janskys are off the chart. And you and I just kept like laughing at the like word Jansky because it just doesn't seem real. But I had to look up if a Jansky was real, and that's when I tied it back
Oh, I
to the name
see.
of this. It's named after this Carl G. Jansky, who's like that's where they're at, that
Hmm.
radio observatory. Then they used his name to name the unit of radiation density or flux usually associated with radio emission.
Oh.
So, but this Carl Jansky was like the first radio astronomer. So they named
Oh,
that unit of measurement after him.
that's
So
very
Janskys
cool.
are
Janskys are
real.
real.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got our Ellie in a field. It's nighttime, and I think she's like laying on the hood of her car in the field, just like with headphones on,
Listening.
just listening as she does. She's just like
Yeah.
listening for signs of life out there.
I don't think we just explained what her work is, but it's like literally she's just trying to hear a response. Like
I think
she's
they're just
sending,
pointing the
yeah,
satellites
she's
in
like
different
sending
directions, and
signals and
then
trying to get a signal back from space.
yeah,
That is like her entire
yeah,
thing.
it's like exactly what she was doing as a kid at the beginning. Like, is anyone there? Is anyone
Hmm.
there? And there has never been anyone there.
Her just
Um,
calling out into the void.
But all of a sudden, we start to get this weird, like, washing machine engine sound, like, whoop, 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 whoop. And it was it's like just like a pulsing sound.
That's actually really good, your imitation.
Is that exactly what
And
it's
it just like it, and if you got even closer to the mic, it'd be like,
whoop, whoop, whoop.
that's what it sounds like. And it
And
was like very loud.
it's so loud, and she sits up and she's like trying to call to her guys, her like nerds that work on base, and be like, are you guys picking this up? And they're watching something on TV or something. They're not paying
Yeah,
attention.
they're not paying attention.
She's screaming. She's driving her classic convertible through these fields, screaming at them through the radio. Finally, they see it. They pick up. She's like, "Are you seeing this? Like, or is it just like a one-off thing?" They're like, holy shit, we're seeing this. They start like recording or something. They're all very excited that something is happening, finally. The Jamskis.
The Janskis are going crazy.
The Jamskis have never been higher. They realize that the WAPs are coming through in its numbers. It's like counting out. And that there are prime numbers 1 through 100, right?
I don't know.
I don't
But
know.
yeah, like a series of prime numbers, and then they can like trace it back that it is coming from this star called Vega, or like a
Vega.
star system Vega. And so then they have to alert now. the
Which I
government.
really loved this part of the movie. I wrote down, I have never been more excited and understood less. I really liked just not knowing what was going on and like trusting them that like they seem really excited.
Yep.
So I'm really excited too.
They're like, this is
I'm
what
like,
we've
I don't
been
know what it
waiting for.
means. But
Yeah.
I feel like this feels like the movie that I thought we were getting into is like this part.
Yes, this part, and then again, like kind of later, like there's like moments
There's
where this
glimpses
picks
of
up.
it, yeah.
Yeah, glimpses of like, oh, okay, I feel like this is what this like what I was expecting.
Yeah.
But I'm with you. I think this kind of stuff is pretty interesting because I think this whole idea of like how would an alien species try to communicate with us, I think is a really interesting question.
Yeah, so they find out that it's prime numbers, but the radio waves are also layered with more information. It's like three-dimensionally stacked, like files stacked on top
Yes,
of each
yeah.
other, and audio is one of those files. But they start taking those files apart to like decode them. And what did they say? It was like 60,000 pages
Yeah, like
of information.
63,000, like yeah.
So they are, like, I think you started to mention this, they are starting to lose because of the Earth's orbit. They're starting to like lose the signal with Vega. And so they call someone at observatory in like Russia or Australia or something. And they're like, are you hearing this? Can you pick this up? So they're starting like a little global network.
Yeah,
of
like it becomes an
scientists.
international thing.
Yeah.
And the
So
American government is freaking out about
the
it.
American government is so mad. Drumlin is mad.
Oh, and then did we say what the video file, like what they do
Oh,
receive?
no.
Well, I think this is like confirms what we were talking about at the beginning. What they are able to like then like flatten out is a video of Hitler.
That's like
Doing, like-
super zoomed in and they
That's
have to
super-
like zoom it out.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, that's right. They zoom it out and they figure out like the like yeah, it's like this video of Hitler like announcing the like Olympics like prior to World War II.
Which I feel like the way that reveal was very cool because at first it's just pixels, it's all blown out. And you can't really see anything. And then they do the like enhance and they like click, 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 enhance it. And then it kind of looks like a swastika, but I feel like also doesn't not look like an organic, like
Yeah.
something that could
It's
appear
very
organically.
questionable at first, like
Because it's
hint,
like such
but
bad
you're not
quality
sure.
and it's like kind of smeary. And so at first it like sharpens and looks like a swastika. And so you're like, ugh. But then you're like, well, maybe it's something else. And then they like start zooming out. And like the further back you get, the sharper it gets. And then
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, it's just like a little badge on Hitler, like on the balcony giving a speech. And everybody flips out.
Of course, everyone is like, the aliens contact us, and this is what they send us. Which, like, yeah.
Yeah. I
But
would have a
then-
similar reaction.
Then all the scientists, I think this is Angela Bassett is like then becomes a really big part of this because she's kind of the, I don't know exactly what she is, but she's kind of the in between, like the is she PR?
I'm
I don't know.
sure. She's pretty
she's-
involved in this.
Yeah, she's pretty involved, and so like all of the scientists involved have to like be like, everyone needs to calm down. Like this is a benign message. This radio broadcast is what ended up reaching this star system, and now they're contacting us basically. But there's still like still confusion over what the message is. And they found in those like 60,000 sheets that there's like a code there. And they found like one string of like it, but they can't figure out how the primer. They need the
They
primer.
need the primer. They're like putting things together. They kind of look like hieroglyphics, and it's like
Yeah, it
there's
looks like
one thing in the
hieroglyphics
middle.
almost.
There's
Yeah.
one thing that would like join all these pages together that's like the bottom looks like a circle, and then the third piece is like too short to connect
Yeah.
the
They
circle.
can't like put the pages together. They're stumped. And like I think Jodie Foster, Dr. Ellie, her she's like, we need like this is gonna take time to figure out or something like that. But then she gets a secret message and she follows it and it brings her to meeting Haddon in person. And then I had to like
On
watch
an
this.
airplane, right?
Yeah, you're right. She like visits him on a flight, and that's like he introduces himself, and this is when I'm like, oh, okay, he's just like a guy, like yeah, benign, like benevolent. She's like, we can't. It's gonna take forever. It's like I can't figure it out, and he's like, you can't figure it out unless you're thinking like a vegan.
Did you read this the way I did in the subtitles?
As vegan?
I was like, what's that gonna do?
Yes. That's what I was just gonna say. I had like a little inside joke with myself that every time they talked about the vegans, my
first time
like head
especially.
would read the subtitle as vegan.
The first time, especially because my grandma used to pronounce vegan like vegan, like what 20 years ago, like when that like first became a mainstream
Yeah.
thing. She was like, "Oh, is he vegan?" And so
Is he vegan?
when he was like, "You have to start thinking like a vegan," I was like, "Oh." Because
Like a
on the
vegan.
subtitles too, it's like
Yeah.
vegan, and I was
'Cause
like,
it's
I don't
spelled-
get it.
Yeah, it's spelled vegan. But
I'm excited to see where this takes us, but okay.
okay. The vegans had the secret all along.
She's gonna change it up.
But what he means by that is that we only think like up to a certain dimension and they think in multiple dimensions. So she's trying to decode in 2D and they really need to turn everything into 3D because then the like symbol that you were describing
Yeah, it, like,
matches
bends.
at a corner. And once they do that, then they can decode it.
Which I
Or
didn't
then
understand
it
at all.
exposes the primer and then
Yeah, the
and then-
primer.
the delivery of some of the lines in that is very like we're watching a sci-fi movie because she's like, what about the primer? And then he like exposes and like it's on a screen too. Like it's all like he can show her everything. And somehow he knows, like again, like he's
knows.
just like has the key to everything. So he figures that out for her, gives it to her, and then she's like of course. like I don't know, like it's very like
fun.
of course that makes sense. Like
You
it's
sounded
like
just like her when you said that.
it's like she's like her most giddy in that moment when it comes together, which like I believe it. But like when her nerdiness comes out, it like I kind of love it even when it's cheesy.
It's very cute. I loved
of
it.
course. And what about the primer? Like
primer.
It's so funny.
Mr.
Anyway,
Haddon. What is
they
Jodie
decode
Foster's
it.
accent?
Yeah,
Where is she from that she talks like that?
I don't know. She does have an interesting accent.
Mr. Haddon. Let's see.
They do another fun transition edit from Haddon explaining on his screen and explaining to her. And then the edit transition is then her screen and her voice starting to explain it to like the US government, I think at this point. So she has to give this big presentation. And then Drumlin is also in that meeting and starts to take over. So we're starting to notice like a new type of friction between them. There, he's trying to like now he's like, oh, now what she's doing is cool. I want a piece of that. And so
That
then
pissed me off so bad. He like
Yeah.
starts talking over her and is like, Ellie, can you go to the next slide? And she's like, so mad. Yeah, he's totally like taking credit for it. It's very annoying. A man stepping on a woman to get to the top.
Is this also now where our Matthew McConaughey hot priest re-enters the picture?
Yes, at a gala.
He
Presidential ball.
shows up first in the room when like in one of the government rooms.
Yes.
And he like
In the
comes in like
rooms.
yeah.
Because he has a new job as spiritual advisor to Bill Clinton. President Bill Clinton. He is the spiritual advisor, which again, we were like, man,
It was, yeah, it's a weird time to watch it.
it was very interesting. He comes in and is like, I feel like kind of disagreeing with her in front of everybody, but they're like, okay. They're not like mad at each other.
No, he doesn't hold any resentment from her
What are they
not calling
disagreeing
him
about?
back.
What are they even talking about in this?
I don't know.
It
There
doesn't
was
matter.
so much. There was
There's
so
too
much.
much. There's too many
But
ideas here.
more importantly, there's going to be a gala.
There is a gala.
And she wants to, she knows he's going to be there.
And yeah, so they disagree and then they part ways after the meeting and he's like, "Are you going to be at the gala?" And she's like, "Oh yeah, like I'll see you there." Like real friendly. And then she goes up to Angela Bassett. She's like, "Excuse me. Can I ask you a question? Where do I get a really great dress around here?" So she needs a great dress.
And does she get a great dress?
Get one in our 90s Regency reboot.
I loved what you said. You were like, it's giving ever after.
She has like the little spiral curls.
Part of it's up and the rest of it's like, yeah, spiral curls cascading down. And she has like an empire waist, like kind of like
Drapey up here.
velour, like velvet, and also like some like silky something happening.
Fantastic.
It is giving ever after, like that 90s fairy tale.
And she is reeling Matthew McConaughey in.
And this is where we have the like ultimate God versus religion conversation.
Which also
I took notes.
Tasted a little funny to me. Yeah, go ahead.
So he comes in, she sees him, she snags him, and she's like, "I've read your book." And she starts to kind of criticize it. And she says, "It's like you're saying science killed God, but what if it's that science revealed that God never existed in the first place?" And then he kind of like doesn't have much to say back. They go out, they walk outside, and she's like, have you heard of Occam's razor? Which I'm surprised he hadn't. But
for being a doctor.
Yeah, interesting. But he's like, that sounds like a slasher movie. And she's like, no, like it's this, this principle, this rule of thumb that's like, the simplest explanation among competing things, or like all things equal, like the simplest explanation is likely the one. Then she asks like, so what's more likely? An all-powerful God created the universe and then decided not to give any evidence of his existence, or he simply doesn't exist at all, and that we created him so that we didn't have to feel so small and alone. And then he says that, like, to that, he goes, well, I wouldn't want to live in a world where God doesn't exist. Which is like
isn't a great rebuttal.
Isn't a great, yeah, that's like whatever fallacy number 4 or whatever, like appealing to I don't know, appealing to emotion. But she says, well, like, what do you do with that? Like, that there's no proof. I can only believe things that have proof. And then he asks her, did you love your dad? And she says, of course.
And also, how did she not see where this was going as soon as he said, did you love your dad?
Yeah.
I would have been like, shut up.
Shut up, yeah. But she doesn't see where it's going, and she's confused. She's like, of course I did. And then he says, prove it. And I feel like it kind of like...
And she goes...
This is another big tonal shift then.
Yeah.
In the movie, where this is when we started to be like, wait, what is this about?
There's little pockets of like, feels like a Hallmark movie in this movie, is I guess what it felt like to me. Like... little like pieces of like this, like I feel like I'm up for the debate of like science versus religion, or like, are they actually two sides of the same coin, and like do we need to like share the perspective and blah blah blah. Like I'm up for that. Like I'm not saying that like there's no place for religion and like science is all powerful, but I feel like it's in his being like, his rebuttal to that is, I wouldn't want to live in a world without God. I'm like, well, you're not like participating in this. Like, and I feel like that side never participates in this. It's just like the burden of proof is on science to prove
Yes.
God doesn't exist, I guess. I'm like, well, that's not fun. Like, but that's what it feels like.
I think it ends up being more in the delivery though, because I actually think it's kind of like could have been more finessed or nuanced in a way, but like you're saying, it's like almost this hallmark, almost this like it's almost like too heavy-handed, wholesome.
Yeah, heavy-handed is the right way to say it, which I love a Hallmark movie. Don't get me wrong. That's
This
part of
girl,
what I
yeah.
wrote down too. I was like, I love to love things, and I feel like this movie made me feel like one of the people who, when I say that Twister is one of my favorite movies, completely unironically, that like they're like, Twister? I don't get like this movie made me feel like that guy. Like I'm like I want to love I
I
want
want
to
to
love
love it.
it.
Yeah.
But like I don't know. I felt like I was just like I don't everybody loves this movie and like it means so much to so many people and like people are like, God, what a classic. Like this blew my mind when I saw it. And like I was looking up reviews and like sure there are like a few people that like hated it and are like, this is Christian propaganda. But like I feel like for the most part, people are like, this was like a stunning, life-changing, like just a life-changing movie that like maybe was ahead of its time and people didn't get it. And I'm like, I want to get it, but I feel like I don't.
Yeah, I'm with you. I liked it. I thought it was enjoyable, but I think there's a lot of things that like as we're bringing them up that
Yeah, and to like the people that are like, I love it so much, I'm like, have you seen it lately? Like, I don't know. It just feels a little different. Again, this is a little different than the book. It sounds like it's pretty faithful to the book. There are a few changes at the end that are pretty small, but I feel like change a lot about
significantly
the
about like
meaning. Yeah,
the meaning and the like tone. We still have so much like
still so
plot.
much to go. Okay, so they decode it. They've got the primer, they decode it. It is
They got the primer.
architectural
They've
plans.
decoded our hot priest, our hot scientist. They've rekindled. They're having deep philosophical questions. Now they've decoded the plans. And the plans are, this is what I wrote in my notes. The plans are instructions for building a transportation device to house one single human to presumably send to Vega. And these plans, let us remind you, came included in a video broadcast of Hitler. And we just said, let's build it. Let's go for it. No questions asked. Who is going to be this lucky person? Who's our golden ticket winner? And I just feel like that is so wild still. Like even like I feel like there would be so many debates, so much happening.
Oh yeah.
That it wouldn't be so seamless.
So yeah,
But
so
the
there's
main question is
two, right?
who are we going to send? And they build like an international panel to figure it out. But it has to be, they decide it has to be an American that goes, right?
They
The
wanted it
panel
to
is
be
made up
American?
of like different
Okay.
people, representatives from different countries. It's like an
Because
international
they found
panel.
it.
But yeah, that's what my guess is. If that's true, that it had to be an American. It was because the signal like came to New Mexico or whatever.
So this is one of the main differences from the end. So at the end in the book, they send 5 people and they are from all over.
So it's an American propaganda movie.
I get it. So yeah, so they spend, I presume, years and like trillions of dollars. I think they say that like whole industries were invented of like tech and like they have all this new technology. They're building these structures that are like they kind of look like oil. What are those things like off the beach that are like not
Yeah.
an oil rig? It's like it kind of looks like one of those things, but it's massive. It's one of those things where it's like when you see it from a distance, you're like, that's too big to be on Earth. Like it's bigger by miles of anything man-made on Earth. And then there's a little like sphere that the one person is supposed to go into, and they don't really know how it works or what it's supposed to do. And so
Yeah.
that's part of the problem too, is they're like, this
We
could
don't
this
know.
could kill
Yeah.
whoever we put in
Which
it.
which I'm saying there was no questioning it. I think they do have a little bit of like discourse around. There's a few people that are like, it's a Trojan horse, like it's a trap, and then also like there's like footage they try to like show how like just normal citizens are reacting, and there is like some religious fanatics. I don't know exactly their angle except that it's like this isn't
Like this is
like
an abomination or
yeah,
something.
this we shouldn't be that we're overstepping our like we're trying to get too close to God. There's so much happening in this movie. But there is like all of this is going on. Yeah. They build the thing, and while this is going on, the panel is happening. And so it's
And
interesting that 5 people went, but
yeah,
anyway, in the book, but
I feel like the panel was the most egregious Hallmark moment to us both, where we were like, what is this? Like, who's the bad guy here? I took some notes. Matthew McConaughey, spiritual advisor to Bill Clinton, is on the committee somehow. Um, they're like asking Jodie Foster is in the hot seat. They're asking her all kinds of questions. Which I'm like, she should just go, but whatever.
it's like everything points to like her receiving
Yeah,
it, her being in charge of the whole
yeah,
program,
and
her wanting to go.
right. And so Matthew McConaughey asks her if she's a spiritual person. She kind of stumbles through it, and is like, I'm not quite sure that I know what that has to do with anything. He super deadpan says, "Do you believe in God?" And she fumbles around again, like she's kind of uncomfortable, doesn't want to give the wrong answer, but is like sticking to her guns. She says, I rely on empirical evidence. I don't believe there's data either way, which, yeah, yes. And then she keeps going. She says, I don't understand the relevance of the question, which, like, also fair. This other guy chimes in and says, like, excuse me, ma'am, 95% of the world's population believes in a supreme being in one form or another. I believe that makes the question more than relevant. Oh no, and then he continues something about like I would hate to see like all we've worked for, thousands of generations jeopardized because we chose to send a representative who didn't believe in one of our most cherished beliefs. That felt more than heavy-handed. That felt like getting like hit over the head with like a frying pan to me. Like, and I feel like the way they were speaking, and because we are aligned with Jodie Foster as like the protagonist, it felt like they were supposed to be the bad guys to me. Like see how they're like so narrow-minded and they're like shutting out her vision because of this like rigid belief in this like structure. Like it read as like villain to me, but they weren't. And like also
No.
like the bad guy, like Drumlin is like an asshole, and he's like on their side and like hams it up so that he gets chosen by saying, what they want to hear. That other government guy is like such a dick to her, and like I don't know. I'm like, all the bad guys are here on this panel and being really mean to the protagonist. And then I feel like at the end of the movie it's like, and they were right, kind
Yeah.
of. Like
So I think it felt weird, and I do feel that this guy show it. There is the weird government guy who's I think part of security, or he's like somehow in the security like division, and I think for a while he just comes across as like antagonistic towards her because she's like more about like truth and what's real, and he's more about like controlling information and worrying about like kind of like national security. And so I kind of felt like that was like the shortened end of it. It's just like they don't align, so that's why they're antagonistic. But then it seems like by the end he's like kind of hiding some information or something,
yeah.
you know what I mean? And so it's like I think there's like too much ambiguity, like because it plays so hard into like the like pro belief in God aspect. And like we both were like 95% of people, which I looked up and it's like that's because I was like that can't possibly be true, but like I have to like see that for myself. And like that was just made up. That was like a stat that was more like more significant sounding for the movie, but like in the fact that this is an international panel means that you have people from countries that are not monotheistic at all. So even if
Yeah.
they do believe in like a greater power, it wouldn't be the same one that
Right.
a European nation or Americans majority believe in, right? Or whatever at the time in the
Right.
90s, like whatever that spread was. And so it's like even if that were the case, like everyone's vision of it, there's not a 95% alignment on what
Right.
that belief looks like. And so I feel like, again, now I'm starting to believe this is not a Christian propaganda, but like an American
Yeah.
Christian
Yes.
propaganda, like
Yes.
section of the movie. Again, I don't think the whole movie feels like this. And I
Right.
don't think it's
Which
the
is why it feels
total
weird.
it doesn't even feel like the total thesis statement once you get to the end, but it's almost as if the final end piece, the like Carl Sagan, like agnosticness of it all is like hidden at the very
Yes.
end. And this part feels so much heavier.
It's so heavy. And I feel like also to tack on to like the whole, committee. So afterwards, we're seeing that Drumlin is getting the job. She's watching him on TV and
Yeah.
he's like, "Oh, I love Christ." And so it cuts to her. She's in her hotel room or whatever, all sad. There's a knock on the door. It's Matthew McConaughey. She just says, "Why'd you do it?" Because he kind of sabotaged her. He says, It was our job to pick somebody that represents everybody, and I couldn't, in good conscience, pick somebody that didn't believe in God." Which already, I'm like, that doesn't represent everybody. You just said so. Like, it's only 95% at best. Like, and then it's back to like, I couldn't, in good conscience, just like he said, I couldn't live on an earth without God. So he says, I couldn't in good conscience pick somebody that doesn't believe in God, someone who honestly thinks the other 95% of us suffer from some sort of a mass delusion. Was such a weird thing to say to me. And for him to like never get his or like get told off in any way. I read there was a review that I really liked that I don't remember where I saw it, but I feel like this is like kind of exactly how I feel. It says the central theme of the film is an acceptance of faith, and the main character arc shows the non-religious person embracing religious thinking, while the character that represents religious thinking remains unchallenged and is
Yes.
vindicated. And I feel like that's the whole thing. Is
Yes.
like
Yes.
it's like the scientific community being like, look, faith has a place in science too, and then the faith community being like,
That's exactly, yeah. That is like putting it better into like perfect like language. Just there's no
there's no like
balance.
reciprocation. Yeah.
There's no challenge to the like, yeah, God
Which
fearing
feels so
religious side.
weird. And then she gives him back the compass that she has had all this
Or
time.
he gives her.
I think she's had it, right?
Well, I thought he's had it because she takes it with her on the voyage, right? I think. Wait. Yes,
The compass
how did
changes
we do-
hands.
At some point, I feel like we talked about this like early in the podcast. We were like had it figured out because she eventually has it with her on her voyage.
Okay.
And so I felt like she like didn't she like gave it back to him when he
And then
first
he
tried
gives
to
it back
offer
to
it
her.
And then maybe now she gives it back, but I might be.
I might be wrong too.
This is what people are gonna get stuck on. They're
I
gonna be
know.
like,
They're gonna be
can't you freaking pay attention to who had
Because
the
I feel like
compass?
the compass is like you need some help, right? Is like what the compass
Is
represents.
like you need guidance kind of like metaphor.
I feel like it would be really mean if he gave that to her right now. But maybe he does. Anyway, it switches.
No,
hands.
you know what? I'm thinking she probably gives it to him, and then before she leaves is when he gives it back to her. Because I forget there's like some other stuff. It's really weird how unpersonal the two of them get. Like if I were her, I'm done. I'm done.
Yeah.
Like,
Uh-uh.
but they have a romantic tie that carries throughout that to me is like the least believable, but
Which I
just
think
in
they are
terms of
not romantic
romantic.
in the book. I think
Yeah.
they're like
They're
friends.
actually not very compatible or anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Anyway, so they finish the thing. Drumlin gets on the
Drumlin.
thing. He's ready to go. And then Jodie Foster sees on the broadcast a crazy zealot that she saw somewhere else pretending to be a handyman. And she's like, he
the big
doesn't
day.
belong there. And he is, yeah, he's a religious fanatic and he has a bomb and he blows up the whole thing. Drumlin's gone. The whole $1 trillion structure is gone.
This is where the plot goes absolutely bonkers.
And then we were like, all right, where are we at? Where
Where are we going? I don't know. Couldn't predict it.
Take us on a journey. But of course, S.R. Haddon is like, "Psst, come over here again." And he's like, guess what? I built another one. I got another one over here in secret.
He's now at this point on living on the space station because he's like dying of cancer, I think.
And it's
And
slowing the growth, yeah.
slowing the growth. So he's like living out there, and he calls her from the space station, and he's like, "We've built another one with a secret contract with Japan." And then they make it very like this is the Japanese version.
the Japanese version.
But it's on some island off the coast of Japan, and so then they said, and everyone's in agreement that you should go now. Like Jodie Foster, you're the one.
And I think first he says they still want an American. Do you want to go?
That's right.
The propaganda continues.
Yeah, because the Japanese were willing to build it. That was like their contract.
In exchange for like the tech. Like
Yeah, they had a special contract.
Which,
yeah,
pretty smart.
which like, I mean, in the long-term thinking, I guess.
Yeah, especially after all this wraps up. I feel like they're on the winning side.
Absolutely. Okay.
So she's ready to go. We were both noting her outfit is very chic and very cool. And I read that the filmmakers used Joan of Arc as the model for her spacesuit so that it would look like a suit of armor, which was very cute. It was very cool.
It was very cool looking. And she gets ready to go. And then again, I think this is like, I don't have notes on like their final discussion, but it didn't feel as like impactful, but like her and Palmer, Matthew McConaughey, have a conversation before she goes.
I don't remember. Oh, he's like, again, like another weird thing. He's like, why are you willing to die for this? And she like rattles something off. And another thing, I feel like every time he asks her like a really serious, deep question, she just like has this answer. Like, well, ever since I was little, like, which I didn't love how like canned those felt, but he asks her like why she's willing to die for this, and she's like, well, because that's seeking the truth and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
But I'm also like, is he not willing to die for his beliefs? Like, isn't that the same thing? And that's another like we're missing the like give and take.
Like
of,
she could have challenged
it, right?
him.
Yeah, like I feel like he of all people should like get it. Like, because she believes in this.
That's her thing, is she's seeking truth, and he is too, but like...
But his truth is real, and hers is fake.
Well, she's literally gotten a physical message from this extraterrestrial being. And so if we want to go, like, toe-to-toe on, like, messages from, out there... Like she has like, well, she has like, a lot of ammo.
And with like plans to build this thing that they built. And like at the very least, it's like a thing that fits together. Like, the plans, it's just a sphere that she's supposed to step into, but they insist on like outfitting it with like a seat for her to sit in with the like can
Restraints and
strap her
everything.
in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She gets in there. She's looking great. And they have a monitor, like a video monitor in there that's supposed to be capturing kind of what she's
Oh yeah,
seeing.
she has like a little
She
headband
has
that
a
has like
head.
camera.
Yeah, oh yeah, that's what it is. Like it's like coming off her head, and then she also has like a mic attachment too, so she can communicate to them and like hear them, and everything's go like, or they start going through the checks, and then they start like counting down once all the safety checks are a
Oh, well,
go.
first they put the door on and then the
Oh, you're
hinges
right.
disappears.
The CGI effects are really, really. I
Hmm.
actually think they look pretty
I
good,
thought so
like
too.
for the time.
Hmm.
Like in this last scene, they're really wild. They're really intense, but they go all out with the effects. Like from here on out,
I think
this is the most sci-fi of the
And I
sci-fi.
think
Like,
her getting into the sphere is where we were like, we have no idea how long is left in this movie. We have no idea what
yes,
happens. Like, is it going to cut to black? Is she going to go to space?
yeah.
Like,
Is
we
it
were just like, all right, let's
buckle
buckle
up?
up.
We're with you, honey. Yeah, we're in there.
But
Um,
she
yeah.
goes to space.
She goes
So,
in.
so the plans are that the sphere will drop through. So there's like gyrating rings,
Yes.
and then the sphere is supposed to drop through
Yes.
them,
And
and
again, nobody knows
no
what's
one knows
supposed
what's
to
gonna happen.
happen. So that's what's like, I think, why this whole confusion at the end can happen because they don't understand what is supposed to happen. But they imagine that she will kind of like, once the ball drops, it will like go somewhere.
Yeah, something will
Presumably to
happen.
Vega. And they like, we will see it. But it drops. And then what happens though is their connection like kind of cuts out. They get enough from it starting to break up and she keeps communicating, I'm good to go. I'm good to go. I'm okay to go,
Okay to
okay to
go.
go. And finally her old guy Kent that she's been working with, the blind guy who can
Yes,
but
super
like
hearing.
super good hearing, he like ends up being able to be like, she said she's good to go, and so they like decide to let it continue with the launch. But she doesn't know if they can continue hearing her. So there's kind of a very interesting scene, which is like her just trying to describe everything that she's seeing and
Yeah,
hearing. She's like, I don't know if you guys can see this, so I'm just going to keep
just
talking.
narrating. Uh-huh.
And she's like, we were joking, like, this
Like,
is literally what turbulence feels like on an airplane.
she is
But
jostling around. She's freaked out. She starts to see like the floor below her is like kind of coming and going. Like she can see through it a
yes.
little bit. Um, and then I feel like she just like takes off, like, right?
Yeah, she starts like the surface of the sphere fades in and out, and then it kind of like completely disappears so she can
And then
see
there's just like a
what's happening around her.
tunnel.
And she's like, I think I'm going through a wormhole. And then like she'll like come out of the wormhole
And it's
and
like
like
her
kind of be
face is
like,
kind of like blurring out and
yeah. And then she goes back into another one and she's like, I think I'm going in another wormhole. This one's more intense.
this one's more intense. We were like us on a Saturday night.
We
But
were
yeah, she
giggling
can
a
start to
little
see
bit.
like galaxies outside. She's like, "Oh my God, it's so beautiful!
It's
I
so
can't even
beautiful.
describe it."
Well, there is a really cute moment where I think when she's finally like popping out in the final like star system, and she's just trying so hard to explain and describe, and she's like, it's like nothing I've ever seen before. Oh, I can't even know the words. And then she says like, they should have sent a poet,
You should have
which
seen
is
the
like
poet.
kind of like, it's a little melodramatic, but it's like it works for me. I'm like,
Yeah, it's true.
that's
Hmm.
kind of like, I feel like what you would be like, how do I explain
Yeah,
this? Who could, we need someone here that can describe
yeah.
this. And yeah, so then she emerges out of like several wormholes. She's seeing all of this stuff. We don't really know how long she's been in there, but she's been communicating the whole time. And then, oh, and also I think right before this, I think the turbulence is too much, and
She takes it off.
the compass comes out of her,
Oh,
and it's floating, and she can see that it's like peacefully, like
just sitting.
just like suspended. And I think that gives her the idea that like this might be more pleasant if I get out of the chair. So she like releases herself from the restraining like chair,
The
and then it like
man-made
flies
chair.
up. Yeah, and then it like flies up into like it was not meant to be there basically. She's just like now suspended, and then arrives, everything's gorgeous, unexplainable, nothing she's ever seen before. And then it's like her dad arrives. She's on this strange planet, and we realize it looks like her interpretation of Pensacola, Florida. She
On a
like did the
weird
drawing
beach.
of Florida. It's like this odd beach, and her dad is like walking up to her on this beach.
And you're like, is it him? Is this heaven? Or like, what's happening?
Which she pretty immediately figures out what's going on,
Yeah,
that
she
this is,
puts this together real quick.
she's like, oh, it's you, but like not like it's you, my dad. It's like the vegans.
The vegans.
This is how they're like communicating with her, which I actually thought that this is an interesting. I don't know if this is how it was in the book, but I did think this was like kind of, for someone writing the science fiction story and trying to be like, for all the stories we have of aliens coming very like and coming to communicate with humans in the most like
Don't freak out kind of way.
destructive, or like the most, yeah, like coming and being either like just so odd and so whatever, or like being really like here to kill, and here like not coming in peace and being really destructive and being like violent and whatever. For the imagining of these vegans, these aliens, to be like, how can we communicate with these like humans? Like from what we understand, like what if we show them things that are comforting to them?
Right.
Like, which I feel like was, I don't know what you thought about that, but I was like, that's kind of like very like cool idea that like speaks to like this idea that Carl Sagan might have had about like how like I don't know, like,
Yeah, I think
do
it
you know
seems
what I
like
mean, like the
a very cool
softness.
idea. Yeah, like
Yeah.
it seemed like something you would do if you're trying to communicate with someone, and it's like ESL, like human is your second language, and you're like trying to be like, okay, so like if you think about it in terms of like how they were trying to solve that like cipher, and like not thinking about it in terms of being 3D, it's like these people trying to like flatten their communication
Yeah.
skills to like 2D and being like, is does this make sense to you?
Yeah.
Like, I'm your dead dad. Do you get it? But yeah, real quick, she's like, while I was unconscious, you got into my thoughts and my memories, and like
Yep.
presenting it, like she immediately puts it all together. We're like, oh, yeah,
Oh,
that's
okay.
probably what's happening.
Yeah. I guess that's what's happening. She figured it out. But yeah, interesting. And then we kind of have this conversation where they're like, she's like now asking, like, there's all these questions I feel like she has, and they don't have a very long conversation.
Yeah, and I think this conversation is maybe the like happiest marriage of like science and faith, and like
Yeah.
agnostic versus religious, where it's like them kind of saying like we call out to people, we're calling out to
Yeah.
everyone that has ever existed, and like we'll bring people here from different worlds
Yeah.
and universes, and we're just trying to like essentially make contact with people. I think they either tell her or like allude to like, you're not the first person we've contacted on Earth, like we have brought people here before. And I feel like they're kind of like the whole thing, the whole point is just like each other, and like we just have each other, and that's kind of the whole point of it. And
Yeah.
like you're not alone, but you have to go back now.
It's kind of the you're not alone, and I think they're trying to impart too that like they find humans really interesting because
Yeah.
they like
Let's find this
Brooke.
speech. It says, "You're an interesting species, an interesting mix. You're capable of such beautiful dreams and such horrible nightmares. You feel so lost, so cut off, so alone, only you're not. See, in all our searching, the only thing we've found that makes the emptiness bearable is each other," which I feel like is like a very good like middle ground of like you don't have to believe in a god to like
To
find
find
meaning in
meaning
that.
and
Uh-huh.
connection.
But then yeah, like really quickly they're like, okay, see you later.
Yep.
Which in the book also, they do go to this beach, and they like spend the day there on this beach. They're like, this is paradise. They're like eating and drinking, and then at some point a door appears, and everyone goes through it except for Ellie, because she has like a weird feeling about it. And then when she's alone is when her dad comes to her and has this conversation. And then everybody comes back, and then they all go back together. So she does have this experience alone. I think also I have a really crappy note I wrote down that I think is also from the book and also from this conversation, which is, and I think this was from like a video I watched. So it was somebody paraphrasing this, and now I am paraphrasing that. But they reveal to Ellie their discovery of some fundamental aspect of Earth or something that they have found within the laws of mathematics that is there artificially, but they do not reveal what it is. So I feel like that's again alluding to like, this is within math, which Ellie has really strongly repeated, like, this is the only true universal language, like, this is the only truth.
Yes.
But they are saying that they have discovered that, like, within math is like some like divine something, like math was like divinely created, and they have evidence, but they do not give it to her. So there's that.
Interesting.
So then she goes back.
She's had this experience. It's lasted however long for her. And she comes back and they're like,
I feel like it just cuts to her like radio, right? Like, Ellie,
yeah,
can you hear us?
she comes back online and they're like, are you okay? Like, basically, we figure out that it's only lasted like a second.
She just dropped to the ground.
She just dropped to the ground and they thought it didn't work. Then, again, the movie's still going on. We go into this whole, now she
tribunal.
has to, yeah. She now has to like speak before this tribunal kind of to say like, what I said happened, I still stand by it that this happened, because everyone's like, how are we supposed to believe you?
Which I'm like, if you don't believe her, like, don't, like, what does it matter? Like, why
I know
is
it
it such a big
feels
deal?
so weird to gang up on her, especially with if 95% of you can go off faith for other like very important things. Anyway, which is then she sits in front of everybody and she gave a speech that was,
This is our maybe biggest Hallmark moment yet. They ask her essentially to like prove it or to admit that like she's lying. And she says, I had an experience. I can't prove it. I can't even explain it. But everything that I know as a human being, everything that I am tells me that it was real. I was given something wonderful, something that changed me forever, a vision of the universe that tells us undeniably how tiny and insignificant and how rare and how precious we all are. A vision that tells us that we belong to something that is greater than ourselves, that we are not, that none of us are alone. I wish I could share that. I wish that everyone, if only for one moment, could feel that awe and humility and hope. That continues to be my wish. The shoe's on the other foot now, Ellie, huh? I bet you believe in God now.
yeah.
And she's like in court, like with all of them being like, admit you're lying or prove it.
Or prove it.
And she does say too, I feel like it's at this point she mentions something about like, because the jerk guy in Congress or whatever, the security guy is like, you know, this is different than like religious faith. And Or no, he's like, you get it, like now this is the same as religious faith. And she's like, well, no, I'm not saying that like there was like this like divine voice from above. And he was like, well, isn't that what you heard to begin with? Like a voice from the stars, like isn't that the same thing? And it's like a real gotcha. Like she's like, oh, I can't argue with that. And they got her. They got her in the end.
But almost, because then it's like
There's
that
one
feels
tiny
like
shred.
yes.
Yeah.
Well, so and then they leave, and Matthew McConaughey, hot priest, walking out with her, and they get in a car together, and everyone's asking him if he believes her, and he's like, I believe
I
her.
believe. He's got his arm around her. I believe her.
I believe her. But then, like you said, there's a little shred where Angela Bassett's character is like questioning that security guy, and she goes, you might have this then like
I
note
have it written down.
written down, but basically she was like, you know what's strange? I was looking through everything, and like we lost like connection with her, but there is a like audio segment still, like her audio recording that she captured is like 8 hours long.
Yeah, I think she said it was 18 hours
Or
long.
18 hours, is that how long it
And
is?
he's like, yeah, it's nothing. It's like a bunch of like static. And she's like, yeah, but it's static that
But
lasts
it's
18
static
hours.
for a length of time that would like coincide with her story,
Right.
basically. That's where I go, like, I think the ending feels a little confused, and like the more impactful like part was her testifying in a way, and then having to like get everyone to just believe her off on faith
Yeah.
that she's telling the truth. And yet there is actual like evidence
There's like a
of
little
her journey.
post-credit scene of like, she was right.
Yeah, and so like for her, she can still back up her story with proof, which is how she finds truth through empirical evidence. And so she's still she's actually vindicated even if the end of the movie doesn't give it to her.
Yeah.
And so it leaves her in this ambiguity, which I find interesting. And like, I don't know, I like ended up watching the beginning of one of like the first Cosmos episode with Carl Sagan, and he's like so interesting, and I feel like her character's trying to in some way a little bit autobiographical, a little bit trying to embody how he like thinks about the universe and things. But when he is talking in the Cosmos production, he does use such like reverence and like awe and like humility. So to me, I feel like the intention of this story that he wrote is to say like for him, he may not believe in or be able to like prove God existing in like the Christian faith sense. But he still feels this sense of like there is something greater than just me. There is a bigger meaning than just like my daily existence. And he finds that through his search through like the universe and the more he knows about that. And to me, that ends up being way more powerful to think that way. I'm trying to like, I guess in a way, like overlay what I want the movie to end up like saying, even though I don't feel like it totally delivered on this. But I really liked this other quote by him where he says, instead of imposing our preconceptions or predispositions on the universe, we are open to what the universe has to offer. And this is like him speaking on behalf of like what he is trying to like do as a scientist. And it's like, I'm not in opposition to religion. It's just that it's like almost an inverse like way of viewing it. Like we are all accepting that we are tiny, very small in relation to like the universe, but like one party may look at it like trying to like Jodie Foster says, like, what if God is just something we've created so we don't feel so small? And he's like, what if we are so small and there's so much more to learn? And isn't that amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I just am trying to read the movie in that way, I think, so that,
But I feel like it's like you said, it's like half of the movie is that way and is looking at it in that like earnest reverence. And then I feel like the other half is like not affording that same
yep.
space.
Yeah. And where I totally agree with that reviewer's response to like, the other side doesn't get challenged.
Yeah. And I also think we also commented while we were watching it, like how weird that they like received this transmission. They did all of this shit. They spent all this time to like decode this thing that needs to be decoded in 3D. They spent trillions of dollars, invented a new technology that has never been invented before to build this thing. And then when it didn't work a way that they understood, they were like, must not have worked. Like, and she's like, no, I was actually gone way longer than it looked. They're like, no, that's not how
Yeah.
that works.
We were saying that was my takeaway in this. I'm like, I am sure there is an
But they're like,
astrophysicist,
time
like
actually works
mathematical
different in
formula.
space.
Yeah, to explain why time worked differently for her. Like,
Crazy.
I feel like there is like at this point, like there should have been an easy throwaway
Yeah.
like explanation.
So I feel like actually here is where the biggest difference from the book is
Okay.
the very end. So 5 people go. They all have different experiences. They're gone for about a day, but it's about an hour on Earth, so they are gone. The White House, it says that governments, but primarily the White House in particular, does not believe them. They think it's a conspiracy to get funding for their projects, or it's a group delusion. They are threatened and blackmailed into silence. The group of astronauts. They all privately work to prove the truth of what they saw, which I feel like is so different. That's so different. And like the government is the bad guy. No wonder it feels like the government's the bad guy. So then I also have Ellie discovers that the silence recorded in her camera again is like layered with information. It's filled with ones and zeros. She works on it to decode a new message. So even after being told she was crazy, she has tangible proof that she communicated with aliens. While we don't know what the next message says, Ellie is equipped with the knowledge that she is not crazy and that this was put here by intentional design. So I feel like that's such a stark difference from how the movie ends.
That's a feels like a different statement. Yeah, being made
And
in
like
the
a
book.
lot more like what we what we not what I went into this thinking it would be, but like what it felt like in those weird uncomfortable moments, like where we were like, it seems like these guys are like adversaries and like the bad guys, and then they kept trying to like save them and be like, no, but 95% of people agree with them. Like, yeah, very, very interesting. Very
Yeah.
interesting, like choice to make. And I wonder if that was run by Carl Sagan or if that was a change that was made after he died.
Very interesting.
Well, it all comes back to the director, right?
Yes, yes, it does. Well, that's Contact. But I have one question for you. What about Bob's?
Hair-wise, this movie did have one short hairstyle technically displayed on young Ellie, played by Jenna Malone. However, we both felt that while it was short hair, it was not really giving Bob energy. It just felt like short hair to us both. But there is one Bob that we can shout out in this movie, and that is director Bob Zemeckis. Robert Zemeckis, as some of you may know him, beloved director of the Back to the Future franchise, Forrest Gump, Castaway, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, lesser beloved films like Beowulf, the animated version. Yeah, I felt like directing. This was a great. I think there was a lot of really great directorial choices.
Yes. Yeah. Really great. And his use of, I think, a lot of innovation and interesting editing techniques, like very, very big ideas that I think a lot of the cinematography and edits were like executed really successfully.
You said he was in charge of bringing Matthew McConaughey on board?
I think so because I think that casting switched once he came on board.
Which we can thank him for that, because my goodness,
My goodness,
Matthew McConaughey.
great choice.
Also, we've got a bit of a reverse age gap in this we haven't discussed. Jodie Foster at the time of filming was 7 years older than Matthew McConaughey, which I find interesting. Mm-hmm. Interesting choice.
Interesting choice.
But I wasn't mad about it. But that concludes our first block of films.
That concludes our first block, our first series officially on the podcast.
Which we can now reveal the theme.
Get your guesses in before we reveal our final theme, if you haven't already. Let us remind you, first film we watched was Scream, the very first Scream. Then we watched Clute, and then we've now watched Contact. Do you want to reveal it?
The theme for this block of films was Call Girls. Ah! Cute.
Love it.
I feel like it's self-explanatory, but we've got a lot of gals making calls and some call gals as well.
They're making calls with killers, calls with
Clients.
clients, and calls with extraterrestrial
Or
intelligence.
God.
Or God, maybe.
It goes all the way to the top.
Goodness.
Oh, I'm so excited. Oh, and I'm so excited too to start on spooky season movies.
Yes. Spooky season's coming right up.
I think we have our
And,
first spooky movie picked.
Yep. I've selected the first one. We are going to be watching Suspiria, the very original Suspiria, and I believe it came out in 1977. So we're heading back to the 70s. We're gonna watch us
excited.
another good movie. We've seen the Guadagnino Suspiria, the more recent one, and
Loved it.
Loved it. Was our favorite, one of our favorites of the year we watched it, and so time to see the original. Very, very excited.
I'm so excited. Dakota Johnson's performance in that, second only to her performance in Madam Web.
No bangs, long
No
hair.
bangs for the first time. That was crazy. And her long braid. Oh yeah, we talked about that was the first hairstyle I think that we saw that was not a bob that we were like, I want that long braid.
Yeah. Yeah. And I will I think about that braid and then I braid my hair and my braid is
It comes to right
a
here.
pinky
When I
width,
braid my
and it
hair,
ends here. Yeah.
each side is, this width. So, not in the cards. Not in the cards for me.
If only.
only.
Yeah.
I'm so
Yeah.
excited though. I can't wait. Tune in next time for Suspiria on What About Bob's? 3, 2, 1, bye.